Okay, all right, are among them. It says it should be noted that the lost tribes info stands not to be refuted. These propositions, but rather to complete them. After all, the Lord said in Isaiah 27:6, "In the days to come, Jacob will put out shoots, Israel will bud and blossom, and will fill the whole world with fruit." That's right. Although the information from more than one source appears, the contents of most of this site is comprised entirely of excerpts from multiple volumes of 19th century work by British scholar Lord Kingsborough, Antiquities of Mexico, the volume and page of which are noted after each excerpt. The authors spent years researching the records of Europe's first visitors to the New World, as his compilation of the logs and deep and thorough. Okay, so this guy, he wasn't. It wasn't like, oh, okay, well, this is probably. No, he went deep and thorough, and that's what you. That's what it takes to seek out the truth. You gotta be thorough, man. It should be noted that many comparisons of native people's customs, etc., to Jewish people customs. Now, when it says Jewish, it's talking about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Alright? Not them pasty ass devils over there calling themselves Jewish. Okay? Because those are not the real Jews. They're Amalekites. Okay? The real Jews are you so called Negros. Alright? Because Judah, Jew is a byword for Judah. Okay? The Jewish people's custom, etc., were made within the framework of Kingsborough's own perceptions and from that of a highly authorization sources whom he had quoted. Therefore, the multiple similarities he and his sources have observed may not have been exclusively to the customs, etc., of the one tribe of Israel, Judah, alright, with which they would have been familiar. Rather, the analogs they describe may have unknowingly been to the collective tribes, since there presumably would have been a discernible closeness in their traits. It would follow then that the word Israelite could justifably be substituted for the word Jewish in the writings. Okay? Either way, however, whether the human characteristics depicted are attributed to the tribe of Judah or to the entire 12 tribes, Israelites, the likeness to inhabitants of the New World is unmistakable. Readers of the Lost Tribes info should know this website is intended in part to be an incomplete surface view of the subject. The hope is to inspire others to devour deeper and examine more closely. Okay, which is what we plan on doing. Alright, that's another lesson right there. Clothing. Okay, here we go. Circumcision. Alright. It says, with respect to circumcision, Peter Martyr and Gomara, whose veracity as historians has never been doubted, both affirmed that the Indians were circumcised. Hold up. The Indians. They said the Indians were circumcised. Okay. Talking about the Latinos Native Americans. Okay. Were circumcised. Alright. Let's keep going. It says it deserves to be remarked that the rite of circumcision seems to have prevailed thousands of leagues along the coast of the Atlantic, amongst nations very remote from each other and who speak very different languages. Peter Martyr notes the right of the natives of Yucatan, O.V. Oveldo says it was persistent in Nicaragua, and Gumila states it was common among the Indians of the Orinoco, observing that the ceremony was performed on the 8th day after the birth of the child. From the 4th chapter of Dr. Boer denotes star in the West that this rite was practiced amongst the North American Indians. Wow. Okay, that's a cutter right there. Okay, it says Captain. How many of these things is? Ain't that many. Hold on, let me go to the scriptures real quick. Okay, all right. So in the first statement, it says that the Indians were circumcised. Okay, then it goes into even more detail. All right, it says that along the Atlantic coast, all right, amongst nations very remote from each other who speak very different languages. Peter Martyr notes the rights of the natives of Yucatan, all right, and it was practiced in Nicaragua, okay, all right, and it is common among the Indians of Orinoco, observing that the ceremony was performed on the 8th day after the birth of the child. Let's go to the scriptures. Okay. Hop down to the point. Alright, this is Leviticus. This is from the law. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed," okay, which I don't even know why we have to do this, because you got Tazakiel or whatever that nigga's name teaching that women have seed. Get this real quick. Leviticus 15:16. It says, if any man's seed of copulation goeth out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean unto the evening. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed in water, and be unclean unto the evening. The woman also with whom man shall lie with the seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean unto the evening. Okay. Leviticus 15. Up down to the Leviticus 15 and 31. It says, "Thus shall ye separate it." Oh, 32. Leviticus 15:32. "This is the law of him that have an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith." Okay. That's right. So that's plain. The seed that the woman conceive is the seed of man. Okay. Because he has the seed of copulation, not the woman. She conceives, which means to take into the womb, become pregnant. Alright. Leviticus 12:2. "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed, and born a man child, a boy, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of separation of her infirmity, she shall be unclean. And in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised." Okay, let's go back. It said what? It says, "Observe that the ceremony was performed on the 8th day after the birth of the child." Okay, and it says that this rite was practiced amongst the amongst the North American Indians. Okay, so that's a cut, man. All right, you had the tribe of Zebulon practicing it. that they made mention of. All right.